You know Graybar for electrical parts, but there's one more thing you may not be thinking of us for that can help maximize your next project's total value. Our pre-project planning services are designed to help you win the bid, save on labor costs, and keep your installers productive across your entire build. The sooner you call us, the better. Because when we're there from the beginning, we can anticipate your needs and help you solve problems before they become problems. Yep, Graybar does that.
I gotta say, there was a moment a very short time ago in which we all got on this call. Sam's Wi-Fi cut out. He was bounced from the call. I was made the host of the call. And then Sam logged back in, and it gave me this window that said, Sam Dykstra has entered the waiting room. Admit or view. And I was drunk with power for like 4 seconds. I was like, Sam's entire fate is hanging in the balance at my fingertips right now to determine whether or not he would come on this week's episode of the Show Before the Show podcast. And I, being the benevolent leader that I am, I granted you admission, Sam.
Yeah, and in doing so, I wrestled back hosting duties of the Zoom call. So I usurped you very easily.
What a rip-off that is.
It's the worst Trojan horse of all time, is me just trying to get into a Zoom call and just being like, surprise, it's reverted back to me.
It's a very fitting, I don't even know if Sam will remember this, but Ben and I will remember this. There was like a big virus that went around the internet in like the late 90s called the Trojan horse virus. So it's very internet connected, Sam. Nicely done. I also thought that the other button, it said admit or view. I thought that the other button would just like allow me to spy on you, like Truman Show style. Thought it was going to be like view and you couldn't get in the room, but maybe I was just going to be seeing what you were up to. And alas, that was not what that button did. So
you clicked the button first.
Yeah, I did.
Before you admitted me into the...
I sure did. I was like, what if Sam's just screwing around over there? What if he's, like clicking, you're just like eating a bucket of chicken or something? Like, I don't know what's going on. How do I know if I want that level of professionalism or lack of it on the podcast this week? I wanted to view the situation and determine accordingly.
You know what you would have gotten? And this is not a sponsored mention, but you would have gotten me sipping my Dunkin' coffee because I am a walking, talking stereotype. So
you really are. Sam is that guy from Massachusetts. That guy from Pennsylvania is Benjamin Hills. We welcome you into this week's episode of the Show Before the Show podcast, the official podcast of minor league baseball. I didn't introduce anybody. My name is Tyler Ron, Sam Dykstra, the other voice you heard, and now here's Ben Hill. Hi, Ben Hill.
Hi, Tyler. Hi, Sam. Yeah, we're all in 3 different locations today in 2 different countries. I'm holding it down here in New York City in a phone room in the Major League Baseball offices. And Sam is in Binghamton, where I just was last week. Earlier this month. Last month, by the time this podcast actually airs. But I have some Binghamton memories. And Tyler, you're in Taiwan?
I am. I'm in Taipei, known as the Binghamton of this area of Taiwan, I would assume. I have nothing to back that up.
Is that true? I feel like that's not true.
Nothing to back that up on. I feel like Binghamton would be more likely to be referred as the blank of wherever in Western / upstate / northern / wherever in New York, whatever you wanted to call it. But I don't know what they call Binghamton. I know they're big on carousels there.
It is true, and I was a little bummed to be doing this from my hotel room and not from the public park that Ben did his podcast segment.
You really should have done it. You really should have. You should have made a special pilgrimage. People who live near there would be like, do we need to call someone on this? There's just been like random dudes hanging out, like talking into their Zoom calls on their phones. Would have been pretty creepy and funny.
It would have been. If you want to play it this way, I could be doing this call from the Twilight Zone itself.
Oh, nicely done.
So let's play it that way. Yeah.
Nicely done, Sam. Well, tell the good folks what takes you to Binghamton this week.
Yeah, I am here for the MLB Pipeline Game of the Month, which is on Thursday. It's literally the last day of August. We snug it in here at the end, but Binghamton is hosting Harrisburg this week. And I wanted to get up here for many reasons. I mean, both lineups are really loaded. On the Binghamton side, They have Luis Angel Acuna and Drew Gilbert, the top two prospects in the Mets system, who were both acquired at the trade deadline in deals for Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander, respectively. And we were planning to come up here anyways to see those guys. And then also Kevin Parada, the Mets' first-round pick from last year, got called up from High A Brooklyn. So this Rumble Ponies lineup got even more loaded. That was exciting to see. Caught a little bit of their game last night. But on the other side, and we'll circle back to this in our interview segment, Harrisburg is similarly really loaded. They have 3 top 100 prospects, led by number 2 overall pick Dylan Cruz, who is our guest on the show this week. Also, another top 10 prospect, James Wood, plays the outfield alongside Dylan Cruz, and they have Brady House, a third baseman, and a first-round pick 2 years ago, who is healthy this year and productive, climbing 3 levels in the Nats system. A lot of the excitement for Washington right now is in the minor league ranks, and a lot of it is concentrated on that Harrisburg team. So you have Harrisburg meeting up with Binghamton, wanting to get up here and really highlight this game. So, look back on the MILB and MLB Pipeline Instagram pages for some of our coverage of that. We're going to have a ballpark tour here in Binghamton that we'll be posting. We're also going to be doing an Instagram Live interview with Drew Gilbert and Blade Tidwell, a draft pick of the Mets last year, and their number 2 pitching prospect. We're going to be doing a pitching lab with him in the future. We're going to get him to break down all of his pitches. His fastball and slider are really good. So a lot of things coming out of Binghamton, but yeah, that is why I'm here.
A lot of cool stuff coming up on this week's episode of the show. Before the show, I'm glad that Sam mentioned the name Brady House because, as noted, I'm in Taiwan for the U18 Baseball World Cup. Brady House, currently one of the top prospects in that Washington organization. I didn't call his games at a U18 World Cup, but I did call them at a U15 World Cup in 2018. The manager of that team for USA Baseball, Jason Maxwell, he's a member of the coaching staff for the U18 team this year, which is led by Michael Kadire, who is the manager. Tons of talent coming out of the U18 Baseball World Cup. So that's what I'm doing here. And we get a chance to talk about all things baseball on the Minor League Baseball podcast, the show before the show. You can get in touch with us, podcast at MILB.com. And let's dive right in. We've got a bunch of cool stuff to chat about with Ben Hill this week. And we're kicking things off with a story that when Ben told us what the topic was going to be, I thought he was just talking about like a front office member with the same name as a famous actor, but he's actually talking about the actor himself, who is an aged fan of minor league baseball. Ben, I did not realize that Richard Chamberlain in the year of our Lord 2023 was hanging out at minor league baseball games. That's pretty dang cool.
Well, Tyler, as is often the case, and especially when he's in different countries and wildly different time zones, has gotten somewhat confused about the nature of the story. It is about a man named Richard Chamberlain, but not the star of stage and screen of years ago.
Oh, I asked you before. I thought you said it was.
I did, but I was joking.
Jokes don't travel.
I was like, what? Richard Chamberlain? And I was especially confused because, first off, he's 89 years old. But second of all, I would assume that he lives in Los Angeles, which made it very confusing to me that he was going to Montgomery Biscuits games.
Yeah, I thought you were joking when you said that. So
I knew who it was. I knew it wasn't Richard Chamberlain, but I did want to point out that Richard Chamberlain, and I did not know this. I Googled that Richard Chamberlain to lead into this. I did not know this. This is just a way for me to shoehorn this fact in. Richard Chamberlain was the first actor to play Jason Bourne in a 1988 made-for-TV movie based on the Bourne identity. This was all a ruse for me to bring up this random 35-year-old fact about Richard Chamberlain. Now tell us about the real Richard Chamberlain, not the actor.
The real Richard Chamberlain. Well, this is a story that's been up on the site for a little while. Haven't had a chance to talk about it on the podcast yet. Back in June, when I went to Montgomery, I go on road trips. I collect stories. I disperse them out, over the coming days, weeks, and months. But I talked to a guy named Richard Chamberlain, not the actor, who has been to all but 2 Montgomery Biscuits games in the history of the franchise, and that was due to a health issue. When tickets for the team, the Montgomery Biscuits are the AA affiliate of the Tampa Bay Rays. Their inaugural season was in 2004. He was the first in line for season tickets. He was also the first in line at the team store when merchandise went on sale. And in the entire history of the franchise, excepting 2 games that he missed due to a health issue in 2005, he has attended every game. Not only that, he has gotten to the ballpark when the gates open for every single one of those games and has been in a seat for every pitch for every single one of those games. He is now at somewhere over 1,300 games, approaching 1,200 consecutive games, I believe. And, I was told about him when I visited the Biscuits, by the front office saying, hey, you might want to talk to this guy. He's a dedicated fan. And I found him interesting because, I write about fans a lot, and a lot of fans are, super fans are, boisterous people, whether it's chanting or signs or, little good luck charms set up, around their seats. They kind of draw attention to themselves in some way. And Richard Chamberlain's the opposite of that. He's just like, I want to get to this game and I want to watch every pitch. And he'll talk to you. He's not like an unfriendly guy, but he is just there for the baseball day in and day out and never misses a game. And when this story went up, I write a lot of stories and they get varying levels of response, but this one got a really good response. And it wasn't people being like, yo, what a weirdo. It was people being like, I want to be this guy. I want to just go to every single game that I can for my local team and just really settle in and be the biggest fan I can be. And it's interesting. I got an email from Richard after the story ran, and he said he's gotten like a lot of positive attention because of the story, and people have been talking to him and approaching him and asking him questions because that story went up on MILB.com. You can find it, of course, on that website. Go to MILB.com/fans/Ben's Biz for a nice collection of all material, not all of it, but a lot of it in one place. But he told me that a fan who lives in Atlanta, who was born in China, drove from Atlanta to the Biscuits game to meet him and take pictures and to send to his friends back home in China, because his Chinese friends in China were really interested in this guy who went to every single Montgomery Biscuits game. And I love those kind of stories because, you put something out on the internet, sometimes you don't get a great response. It's very easy as a writer to say like, no one reads what I do. And then to realize like, wow, people in China were reading this story. And someone drove to the Biscuits game to to meet Richard Chamberlain and share it with their friends in China. So you just never know who's going to read a story and how it gets out there. But Richard Chamberlain was a fun one. And go to a Montgomery Biscuits game. He's right there, just past the first base dugout, just beyond the nets, because he doesn't want to watch the game through the netting, and keeping score, watching every pitch. Maybe the most dedicated minor league baseball fan I've ever met when you measure dedication just in terms of sheer number of games attended and number of pitches seen.
Take that, other Richard Chamberlain. That's way cooler than some made-for-TV Bourne Identity movie.
Yeah, I mean, hey, Richard Chamberlains can all get along. They don't have to be pitted against one another.
We can live in a land of harmony among Richard Chamberlains. Have you come across a fan who has done something similar? It's one thing like, I've attended a certain amount of games, or I've been to a certain amount of games consecutively, but for somebody to be there when the gates open, watch every single pitch, and that be the whole thing, that is, like you said, in measuring dedication, I don't know, you get much more dedicated than that.
Yeah, it's intense. And he has a job. He didn't tell me what his job is, but he's just like, I have an understanding with my boss. Sometimes I need to leave early, or I'll take the days off I need when it's day games. And the game that I was in town for in Montgomery, it was a doubleheader that, just became a doubleheader, the day before because of a rainout. So the 6 o'clock start was moved to 4 o'clock, and Richard Chamberlain was there at 3 o'clock when the gates open for a Friday afternoon doubleheader. He is always there.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. All right, Ben. Well, there are a lot of unsung heroes in minor league baseball. And one staffing position at minor league ballparks, and really, honestly, at major league ballparks and other sporting events across the country, is the position of the stringer, which is something that is probably not well known or well understood. But in Lehigh Valley, you got a chance to dissect the job of a stringer. And it's something that's super important for the mechanics of kind of how baseball games are, operated and archived and statted and all of that. Tell us about this Lehigh Valley story.
Yeah, when I visited the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs at Coca-Cola Park in early August, got to give credit to their broadcaster, Sam Jelinek, who suggested, hey, our game stringer guy named by the name of Corey Christ, has been with the team since the inaugural season of 2008 and has only missed a handful of games. And he might be an interesting guy to talk to. And I said, yeah, that's a great suggestion. I don't think I've ever written about a stringer before. And if you think about the characters in the press box, a lot of them are pretty self-explanatory. The writers are writing about the game. The broadcasters are broadcasting the game. The scorer is scoring the game. And similarly, the stringer is stringing the game. And what stringing is they are entering the results of every pitch on a manual scorecard as backup, but also directly into a computer via a code that they use. And then that code is transmitted, online. And that is what forms, the game day play-by-play logs, the box scores. So they are entering the raw data that becomes everything we see online regarding the play-by-play, the box scores, everything, all the digital information we see about every single game. So on one hand, I don't want to say simple job, but that's a fairly simple description. You just enter in the results using a specific code. But think about baseball. It's one thing just to be like, okay, that's a ball, that's a strike. But he was like, yeah, man, I've been doing this since 2008. And you just never, the old cliche, you never know what you're going to see at a baseball game. And think about it, for those who are transmitting the results, or if you're at home following along on game day, watching a game get updated, and say there's a runner on first and second and a wild pitch, and the runner on second scores, and there's an error on the play, and maybe it was a strikeout wild pitch and the guy gets to first, and et cetera, et cetera. You have to know the code for all of that and try to get it into the system, and hopefully do that by the time the next batter is up and now new pitchers are coming in. But also there are support people all across the country. So every stringer working a game has support to say like, whoa, this just happened. How do I do this? Or, hey, I need you to take a look at this to make sure I got it right. So it's a massive operation, and interesting to think about between everyone at a ballpark who is stringing the game, and then the massive support system that exists to help them in stringing the game. And then all the information that we have at our fingertips is through this process that's taking place in the press box every single night at every single minor league ballpark. And like I said, Corey Christ in Lehigh Valley, he's been doing it since 2008. He works in the education field, so it's a pretty good job to have in terms of his overall schedule. And he just loves it. He just loves being that, into every game and taking pride in the role he plays. No one's going to look at a box score and be like, I recognize the work of that stringer anywhere. But at the same time, it's a crucial job, and it was cool to, shine a light on that. Something that honestly, I never really thought about. I've been in so many press boxes, and you see those guys doing their thing, and they're so anonymous, and I just hadn't thought about it. And I felt, I don't want to say guilty, but like, yeah, that's cool. These guys have stories too. So it was good to write about a stringer, especially me doing this job so long. It's always cool to highlight a job that I have not highlighted before, because I've written about a lot of ushers, a lot of broadcasters, a lot of game day employees of various stripes, food and beverage people. But a stringer, this was a first.
One thing I really want to highlight on that, Ben, and you touched on it there, was the fact that there is a human being behind this. We live in a world now where so much is getting automated, and so much is just automatically happening. And, there's writer strikes and actor strikes trying to fight back against AI. The fact that there is still this piece of technology that the game is so reliant on. I mean, this is where official stats are drawn, is from the game day box score. The fact that there is a human behind that, and then another human or humans behind them to help. I think this is the perfect time to tell that story.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I hope these jobs are not replaced by AI. That would be tough to do. You'd have to have AI sentient enough to understand itself what it is, quote unquote, seeing on the field to enter it automatically. So hopefully that's not coming anytime soon. But you're right. There is a human being behind everything going on with every single bit of statistical data that is transmitted throughout the minor leagues. And it's kind of interesting to think about.
All right, Ben, what else we got coming up from your travels or anything else to the site?
Well, I've got a trip. I have a road trip coming up that I want to talk about now, because if you listen to this podcast, maybe you'll be in one of these ballparks. If so, I would love to see you. If so, if you're interested in being a designated eater, consuming the gluten-free cuisine consuming the ballpark cuisine that my gluten-free diet prohibits, get in touch. Email me at benjamin.hill@mlb.com. I am going to, on Wednesday, First Horizon Park, Wednesday, September 6th. First Horizon Park in Nashville, home of the Nashville Sounds. Haven't been there since their inaugural season of 2015 in that ballpark, not the inaugural season of the team, but haven't been to Nashville, their ballpark, since 2015. From there on Thursday, September 7th, going to Bowling Green Ballpark, home of the Bowling Green Hot Rods. That's another one I haven't been to in a long time, over a decade. And they are playing as the Bootleggers, celebrating illicit whiskey smuggling in the region. So they play as that identity every Thursday. Excited to see that, and excited to finally make it back to Bowling Green on Thursday, September 7th. Friday, September 8th, staying in the great state of Kentucky and moving on to Louisville, home of the Bats, Louisville Slugger Field Stadium. Regardless, that's a AAA Reds affiliate. And again, it's been like 9 years since I've been there, seeing the Louisville Bats. And then on Saturday, September 9th, the Indianapolis Indians at Victory Field. Been 2014 since I've been there as well. So overdue for a trip there. And a lot of baseball history in that region, with the Indianapolis Indians franchise itself going back all the way to the start of the 20th century, and professional baseball in that region dates back even further than that. And then finally, Sunday, October 10th, Columbus Clippers. Haven't been there since 2014. AAA Cleveland Guardians affiliate. And that's a beautiful ballpark. Huntington. Is it Huntington Park, Huntington Field? I always forget the designations. Is this a stadium, a park, a ballpark, a field?
That one is a park.
It's a park, Huntington
that one
Park.
I do remember.
Yeah. So looking forward to all that. So once again, Wednesday, September 6th, Nashville Sounds. Thursday, September 7th, Bowling Green Hot Rods. Friday, September 8th, Louisville Bats. Saturday, September 9th, Indianapolis Indians. And Sunday, September 10th, Columbus Clippers. That'll be my last road trip of the season, and will give me a lot of sustenance material to write about, hopefully well into the off season, because I just keep trickling all this material out, and that'll be it for another season on the road. So looking forward to getting back out there one more time. And again, if you want to be a designated eater at any of those ballparks on the dates in question, email me at benjamin.hill@mlb.com. I'll have more information on the trip in my newsletter, which is out by the time you're listening to this podcast, the Ben's Biz Beat. You can subscribe to that. Go to milb.com. Go to the newsletters tab on the main navigation menu on the website and subscribe to the newsletter. And so excited. Busy times. And then they'll be not as busy, but you know how it goes. We all stay busy.
But then you'll have some good stuff to carry us into the long, dark days of winter and help us think of the bright, happy days of spring and summer to come.
That's right. I got to store some of this material for later. I always look at it as like the industrious squirrel.
Yeah.
Stashing all those nuts away for the lean times. I think there's an Aesop's fable about that somewhere. I think it was an ant in the fable who really got his act together and had a lot of great material. And then there was a lazy animal. Maybe it was a grasshopper. I can't remember. Who just was real frivolous with his time and then
frittered away all the resources.
Yeah, so I want to be a squirrel or an ant or whichever one, stockpiles the stuff for the lean times. That's me.
I think that's a good plan. Benjamin Hill, who you can find on the social media networks, Ben's Biz and the Ben's Biz. And now we pivot to Sam Dykstra, who leads us into our interview for this week, and it's a good one.
Yeah, I was really excited to do this one this week. As part of my trip here to Binghamton, and like I was saying earlier, both Binghamton and Harrisburg lineups are so loaded. You couldn't go wrong with trying to interview somebody. But I especially wanted to talk to Dylan Cruz, this year's number 2 overall pick, the Golden Spikes Award winner, the national champion with the LSU Tigers. So much has happened for Dylan Cruz in the last few months. Wanted to touch on all of that with him. What kind of, where his head's at in this whirlwind. The fact that he's now at AA already in his first season. Pretty crazy, but we've always thought he was so advanced with his hit tool, which we have as a 70 on the 20 to 80 scale, that we thought he could be moved aggressively, and that's what the Nats have done so far. They skipped him over high A completely. So now that he's at AA, wanted to chat with him. Just a quick note: we start out talking about something that happened on Tuesday night. On Tuesday, he was hit in the head by a pitch from Blade Tidwell. It was a breaking ball. It kind of glanced off his helmet. But I just wanted to check in with him. So if you're a Nats fan, you might already know he said he was going to be good to go for Thursday night. We're recording this Thursday morning, so we'll see if he's in the lineup tonight. But we expect him to be. So by the time you hear this, he might have already been back. But I just wanted to check in with him, see how he's doing. So that's how we start this interview. But here's me chatting with Dylan Cruz. All right, Dylan, well, we're catching you after an unfortunate incident last night. You got hit in the head with a breaking ball, kind of glanced off the top of the helmet. First off, how are you feeling today?
I feel good today. I was a little dizzy, right after it hit me, but after sleeping on it, I feel good today. And, they're giving me the day off today just to be cautious and, just to get another day of rest, really, and I'll be ready for tomorrow. Yeah,
especially you can't be too cautious with that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Just to explain, what have the last few months been like for you? I know that's a very general question, but it's just so loaded for how much has gone on in your life the last few months.
It's been crazy. Everybody always came up and telling me just, I've had a crazy past few months, and honestly, it's just all happening so fast. I haven't really been able to just sit down and enjoy it. Really, it's just one thing after another. I'm traveling here and there, all the time. So. It's good though. It's my life now, something that I kind of have to embrace, and I'm having a great time. Honestly, it's been a fun ride these past few months, and I'm definitely enjoying it. And I'm in a great spot right now.
Yeah. And how does your mindset change in the pros, where you can move from Fredericksburg to Harrisburg, compared to college? You were in Baton Rouge the whole time. Yeah. There is no moving up.
Yeah, it's different for sure. It's a new world now, but. Like I said, I kind of have to embrace it and understand that this is my life now, and changes are going to happen throughout my career, and I got to learn how to deal with it. So it's good. It's good. I had a great time over in Fredericksburg, and I was very fortunate to get promoted now into AA and with a great group of guys right now. So like I said, awesome. I'm feel great, feel comfortable. So. Just keep things rolling and, see where I end up in the future.
Yeah. And speaking of getting called up, what was your call up story when they told you you're skipping Wilmington and going straight to Harrisburg?
They just announced it with the team, and it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool to, have it in front of the team, and everybody was congratulating me. And, I thought I've never done this before. So I was thinking maybe I got a few days to kind of, get myself packed up and all that, but no, it's it's the next day. I gotta leave and head out to Harrisburg the next day, and so that's what I did, and had to get packed up and hit the road. So
do you have all your stuff now?
Yeah. I've been living out of my truck for the past month now. So.
That's the minor league life, I guess. And what have you learned about yourself in the early start to AA? Because this is a difficult level for a lot of guys to jump to this level. You're doing it very quickly.
Yeah, I feel good. It's very similar, I think, to the top level in SEC play. I feel like AA is very similar to that. But yeah, it's a good thing. A thing that my coach used to always tell me, Coach Jay over at LSU, is just the game doesn't change, people change. So, as soon as I step in between the lines and get in the batter's box, everything kind of just, goes away, and, it's just me competing, against somebody else on the field. So it feels good.
Yeah, and I've heard that before too. Obviously, the SEC is so loaded as a conference, but what is similar about that to AA ball?
Yeah, I'd say definitely the pitching for sure. The talent here is great. I feel like SEC is just the top level in college for baseball, and being there for 3 years, I could see how similar it is with the pitching. Everybody here can command three different pitches, and I feel like that's very similar over in SEC, and especially on the hitting side too. You have to make good pitches as a pitcher, because guys here aren't going to chase as much, and they're going to tone in on their zones and swing good pitches and take balls. So
yeah, and how much does it help having seen Blade Tidwell last night?
Yeah,
a Tennessee guy, another SEC guy, going up against the box against him.
Yeah, it was cool. We've seen each other multiple times in college, and it was good to see him on the other side. In the pros, so it was good. We've came a long way, and it was just unfortunate that had to happen. Obviously nobody wants to have that happen, so have nothing but respect for him. He's a great player, a great person. So it was just good to see him again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the stories of your spring
for me anyways, was your ability to cut down on the strikeouts, increase the walks.
Yeah.
What did you do? What kind of work did you put in to make that happen?
Yeah, that was probably like my main goal going into my junior year, really. I got with coach and we just did a bunch of commanding the zone drills, really, going back to the basics, seeing the ball and just shortening it up, really. I feel like I got really good bat speed and good bat to ball skills. So if I can just use my eyes, my gift, and just command the zone the best that I can, naturally my walks are going to go up and my strikeouts are going to go down and my extra base hits are going to go up from me, hitting better pitches in the zone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what kind of drills were you working on with those?
Yeah, it was just we got 7 ball drill that we put on the home plate. He'll throw it or front toss it, and after all the numbers or all the balls are have a number on them, 1 through 7. So there's 7 baseballs on front of the plate, and it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then he'll throw it. I'll just recognize where that pitch was and call out the number that it was pretty much over the baseball. So
okay,
there's that one. We got a really neat machine that's came out called the iPitch machine, and it's very similar to pitchers. And it can throw many different pitches at once. So just getting on that as much as I can, really, and trying to make it as real as possible, and just seeing the baseball, swinging at good pitches, taking pitchers' pitches, and just commanding it as much as I can, really. I think that's just really that really helped me, trying to just make every situation in practice as game-like as possible. So that's probably what helped me out the most.
Yeah, when did it feel like that was actually working and that clicked in?
Yeah, I think during fall scrimmages, really, because we had some really good talent on our team, and being able to tone in and make those games like almost feel like spring games in during the season really helped me out a lot, and it made the transition pretty smooth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and obviously you guys were so loaded, number 1 for much of the spring. Mm-hmm. I want to ask about the title game, because there's a lot of hype going into that game, and you guys win 18-4.
Yeah.
What was it like playing in that game? You were 4 for 6. I mean, Everybody seemed hot in the lineup, but
it was awesome. It was great. It was just, we woke up that day and we just felt like nobody in the country was beating us that day. We did really well with not losing back-to-back games the whole year. I think we only did that maybe once or twice throughout the year. So we lost that second game, but we knew that third game was going to be really hard to beat us, and we were going to put it on them every single inning, no matter what the score was. So it was good. It was awesome. It was the best experience of my life.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, getting the dog pile at Omaha is a dream so many kids have.
Just finishing out on top is just an unbelievable feeling.
What was the energy like in the dugout? Like, was there a specific inning? Was it the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, where you guys were like, we're basically national champs now?
That's funny because really, I feel like the first 8 innings, it was just us doing our deal and us playing baseball. And then we finally ran out in the 9th inning, and you just look around and it's crazy. Like, we just thought to ourselves, man, we're 3 outs away from winning the national championship. Like, it just, after that first out, we're like, oh my gosh, this is actually about to happen. Like, the first 8 innings, it was just, like I said, it was just us playing baseball. And I think that's the craziest part. And we didn't think once the first 8 innings that this is a national championship game. We're just trying to do our best the whole game and do what we've been doing the whole year. And that 9th inning finally set in. Yeah.
So at what point do you decide, or do you allow yourself to switch into draft mode, coming off winning the last game of the year, which is not something a lot of guys get to do?
Yeah. After the season, I took 2 weeks off, just to kind of wrap myself almost in bubble wrap to get ready for the draft.
I would hope so, yeah.
Don't want to do anything stupid before the draft. So, just kind of took some time off and relaxed and enjoyed it as much as I could. And, so I guess right before the draft, really, I kind of just shifted into another gear and had to get ready for that. And as soon as I got my name called, then I had to get back in the gym and in the cages and start working for another 2 or 3 more weeks until I ended up in West Palm and trained there for about another week, and then headed up to Fredericksburg.
Yeah, what was the call like from the Nats saying, hey, we're taking you number 2?
It was a great feeling. It was an awesome feeling. It was crazy. I talked to Nats actually the least out of like the top 4 or 5 teams. So, but I guess teams just they don't have to think twice about it really. So I think that's a good feeling. It's a great feeling knowing I'm in a very special organization that thinks a lot about me. So. I feel great. It was an awesome call. They were congratulating me and welcoming me to this organization, and they have a great history with how to get to the World Series and winning it. They won it in 2019. So I think we got a great group of guys on this team, great core group of guys, and I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, how quickly did you look at the outfield depth chart and find out James Wood, Robert Hassel, Elijah Green?
I didn't really think about it when I got drafted, and then I started looking, and you just go down the list, and you got some good dudes on this organization.
Right. Yeah, and I saw a picture of you guys in the dugout during your debut. James Wood smiling ear to ear just to be around you. What has it been like working with those guys?
Oh, it's awesome. It's great. They're just really. I think they're great ball players, but they're even better people. I think that's the most important thing. It's really easy to work with them. I think that's just awesome. They're, like I said, great ball players. It's been great. I've been here for a week now, and they're growing every single day, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, you've had to play the corners for the first time since freshman year?
Yeah.
What has that transition been like?
It's been easy, honestly. Being a center fielder, I feel like you can play both corners if you need to. But pretty easy transition, and I got all the confidence in the world in Wood in center field, or Hassel even. So got no problem with that at all.
Yeah, and I don't want to look too far ahead, but like next week is Altoona.
Yeah,
it's you and Paul. That would be the first time you guys would face each other since the Air Force Homer game, right? Like in actual games, not like fall ball stuff.
In an actual game, yeah. So it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. He's an awesome dude, awesome talent. It'll be good. It'll be good to see him again and face him. I haven't faced him in a long time, so we'll see what he looks like.
How much have you held the homer over him all these years later?
It's always in the back pocket, but I never will. I'll never just throw it into his face. Honestly,
he knows it happened. Like that's
he heard it. He heard it enough, but I would never say something like that to him because he's got such a tunnel vision mindset and he works hard every single day, and he's proven to everybody that he's a real deal. So
yeah, have you guys talked about the fact that you went 1-2? Like when you guys talk, how neat that is?
We really haven't. We talked about it a little bit, but like we haven't really sat down and just like had a conversation about it. It's pretty cool. I think maybe 20 years down the road we'll probably finally sit down and go over everything. It'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's not like nothing's happening in your lives right now between all the movement and all the getting called up. All right, well, I'm sure a lot of Nats fans are interested in this because they've seen how quickly you've moved so far. How quickly do you feel like you can get to the majors?
Well, I feel like I can go there at any moment. Really, I feel ready. But that's not my decision, really. That's their decision. But I feel ready at any moment to go up there and compete. Like I said, the game doesn't change, so go up there and be me at the end of the day. So whatever they want to do, whatever they feel like is best for me, I'm all in for it.
Yeah, when it's not your decision, obviously. Does every game feel like an audition, kind of in that way?
Not really. No. I'm going out there and just being me. That's it. Dealt with pressure my whole life and dealt with expectations, so I know how to handle it, and going out there and just being me at the end of the day.
Yeah, all right, and we'll end on this one. 2020, you made a decision to go to LSU instead of the shortened draft.
Yeah.
Worked out pretty well, but how do you look back on that?
Best decision I've ever made, for sure. For sure. I just trusted my gut and knew my worth at the end of the day, and just wanted to go to school and experience that, and I knew what I was getting myself into. I knew what I was gonna, I was gambling on myself. So going out there and just, like I said, being me, and everything kind of worked out for itself.
Yeah, I'd say we did that.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
We interrupt this podcast to bring you another thrilling edition of Ghosts of the Miners. Now, here's your correspondent and host, Joshua Jackson.
Welcome back to Ghosts of the Miners, in which all of you out there in Radioland must identify the legitimate historical ball club hiding amidst the fraudulent pair. One once put on a show 9 innings at a time. The others never played a single frame at any point. In the last segment, I asked you which of the following minor league baseball teams did at one time exist. A. The Vermilion Venom Men. B. The Sweetwater Swatters. C. The Duluth Trappers. There's no need for you to buzz off if you picked B. The Sweetwater Swatters, who represented the seat of Nolan County, Texas in 2 distinct minor leagues decades apart. The Swatters played in the West Texas League from midway through the 1920 campaign till the end of the 1922 season, then from 1949 to 1951 in the Longhorn League. Believe it or not, pal, the Sweetwater Swatters got their start as the Gorman Buddies. An amiable, cheerful lot though the Buddies may have been, they couldn't befriend enough fans in Gorman to resist a sweet deal in Sweetwater. The Abilene Daily Reporter informed its readers on August 4th that a mass meeting of fans and businessmen is to be held at Sweetwater tonight to discuss the transfer of the Gorman franchise. The story also noted that Sweetwater had been one of the towns vying for a West Texas League club at the circuit's founding. It didn't work then, but it works now. The Buddies officially unfriended Gorman on August 7th and played their first home game as the Swatters on August 15th. The Swatters moniker stemmed from a similar swa sound at the start of Sweetwater. Alliteration always an A+ choice. And swat was a big baseball word of the era, with national papers already referring to Babe Ruth as the Sultan thereof that summer. The inaugural Swatters team was held steady by the likes of Guy Sturdy, the first baseman who hit .303 for Sweetwater and went on to appear in 59 games across 2 seasons for the St. Louis Browns. But the club's 15-14 record after the move made them only 51-58 on the year, 5th place out of 6. The Swatters had to be sweet on their manager, though, Pop Boy Smith, whose Christian name was Clarence Ossie Smith, but who came to be called Pop Boy by virtue of vending soda and peanuts at Birmingham Barons games as a youth. He was 29 when he took the managerial reins of the Sweetwater Club from Bert Heiss, and he'd already had a career in which he'd pitched 57 games between the American League, Chicago, and Cleveland clubs. Pop Boy had Sweetwater bubble up to first place in 21, but they fell flat over the 7-game series against the Abilene Eagles in the finals. From then on, the Swatters missed more than they hit, fizzling out under Pop Boy's stewardship in 22 and failing to resurface after the collapse of the West Texas League that year. The club went through a rough rebirth after the short-lived Sweetwater Sports of the Longhorn League adopted the Swatters moniker for 49. They had to wish they'd eschewed the Swatters switch. They had 3 straight miserable seasons under that name before playing as the Sweetwater Braves in 1952 for another losing year. And that's how Sweetwater's team turned sour. Now, on to the question for next time. Which of these people was a real player who couldn't wait to touch home in the minors of yesteryear? A. Billy Resident. B. Charlie Mansmaker. C. Eddie Householder. Want to know the answer? Order in and wait for it. Or tune into the next Ghosts of the Miners. But for now, you'll have to excuse me. My producer Ben Hill is getting ready for the long weekend, and I've got to iron his spats.
Our final segment of this week's episode of the show before the show as we kick off the month of September somehow. I don't get how time passed in that manner to make it September 1st by the time you hear this, but hey, here we are. We still have a few more weeks of promos and games and all that stuff to promote for you. Benjamin Hill, what is the promo that has caught your eye for this final week? Well, it wouldn't really be for the final week of August, for the first weekend in September.
Yeah, Labor Day weekend. Traditionally,
Crazy.
the end of the minor league baseball regular season. Of course, now the season goes a little later, particularly in AAA. There is a AAA team I want to focus on, and this is something that was featured on the podcast in an interview a couple weeks back, a segment that I was not able to take part in. You guys had Anthony Sprague, the GM of the Buffalo Bisons, on to talk about their Mark bobblehead, and that is September 2nd. The Mark in question is their superfan Mark Aikinger. I believe that's how you say his last name. He is at every single game. He's known for his catchphrase, "You stink," which he yells at the opposing pitcher. Everybody seems to know him at the Bisons game. He's a beloved presence. When the team first announced this promotion, they said they'd give away 2,000 bobbleheads. They've upped it to 3,000. That's a lot of bobbleheads at a minor league giveaway. 3,000 Mark Aikinger bobbleheads at Saturday's Buffalo Bisons game. And not only that, they have limited edition Mark t-shirts that say "You stink" on them, available for purchase, as well as a photo session with Mark himself. So all this going on, 3,000 bobbleheads, the limited edition t-shirts, a photo session, all for a fan, which shows, I think, his popularity and presence at Salem Field, home of the Buffalo Bisons, for the last several decades.
That is a very cool promo. And we talked about that probably about a month or so ago on the Show Before the Show podcast. You can go back and check out that episode. MILB.TV is where you catch all the top talent in minor league baseball. Sam, obviously you're in Binghamton for the Pipeline Game of the Month, but what are you watching as the calendar ticks forward?
Yeah, so you can tune into any of these games, on MILB TV between Binghamton and Harrisburg. We're doing the Game of the Month on Thursday, so it will already have happened by the time you listen to this episode. But I'm going to throw it forward to next week, and I'm going to stay with Harrisburg because there's a really intriguing matchup between Harrisburg and Altoona. Again, the Harrisburg lineup's loaded. You're going to want to watch it if you're a Nats fan, no matter what, to see James Wood, to see Dylan Cruz. And thanks again to him for joining us on the show this week, and Brady House. But they go to Altoona. And as of right now, Paul Skeens, the number 1 overall pick in this year's draft, is scheduled to pitch on September 7th. So that would be Paul Skeens going against his LSU teammate, Dylan Cruz, on the pro side at AA, just a few weeks after they were both drafted, went 1-2. You heard me and Dylan talk about that a little bit, what it was like for the two of them, how they haven't really acknowledged how rare that is and how cool that is. I loved his quote saying, like, it's been maybe in 20 years, we'll look back on this and be like, how neat was that? But right now they're too wrapped up in their careers, but they'll meet each other, assuming Cruz is in the lineup, and he absolutely should be. That's going to be a big one to watch. Right now it's scheduled for September 7th. If that changes at all, we will be sure to let you know. But I can guarantee you that is going to be a free game of the day when Dylan Cruz and Paul Skeens match up in Altoona. Tyler, what are you watching?
So I'm going to go to the high A level. A couple of fantastic hitters who were taken over the last 2 drafts. Termarr Johnson, Wyatt Langford. Termarr Johnson in Greensboro going against Wyatt Langford and Hickory. Langford now number 23 overall on MLB Pipeline's prospect rankings. And Johnson is check that. Langford is number 13 overall. Johnson is number 23 overall. And those guys will be squaring off in the free game of the day coming up on Saturday. You can catch them on Sunday, of course, at MILB.TV as well. So that'll do it. It's bedtime here. I got to go to bed. Leave me alone.
Leave me alone. Is that going to be your signature sign off going forward? We've done 422 of these, and
whenever Josh Jackson and I are exchanging voice notes and Josh gets off on a rant about something and he knows that he needs to stop and he has to go focus on something else, he always ends up with, "Stop it, leave me alone." So I'm going to do that to you guys today. Stop it, leave me alone. It's bedtime. Leave me alone.
Good catch.
Well, I hope you have a good start to your tournament in Taiwan, Tyler. How about that?
Thanks.
You can end on a little bit more
Guys.
positivity.
I appreciate it. We'll have some fun, and we'll be doing these trans-Pacific podcasts for the next couple of weeks. And that'll do it for this week's episode of the show before the show. And for Benjamin Hill and Sam Dykstra and Josh Jackson, huge thanks to Dylan Cruz. My name is Tyler Mon. We'll catch you next week.